sharing with you in this video how to increase your willpower to create your goals faster. And really, this is the truth that nobody wants to tell you, because what people want to tell you is the easy answer that feels good in the moment. Like, it feels exciting, it makes you feel happy, but oftentimes that answer that makes you feel happy and excited in the moment doesn't produce the long-lasting result that you're actually looking for to get that fulfillment in the present moment by being who you want to be in this present moment now. So I'm going to share with you in this video how to avoid feeling like you can't take action if you feel scared, or if you feel worried, or if you feel like you're not ready. None of these things are your concern when it comes to you being the person that you want to be. So the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to increase your willpower to create your goals faster, and again, nobody really wants to tell you this, is to understand that it's not about feeling, it's about willingness. So this is a very, very powerful concept, because I'll never forget when I learned this from a mentor. What he made very clear is that you can feel scared, you can feel worried, you can feel a lack of ambition, you can feel a lack of confidence, you can feel like you don't want to do it, you can feel stress, you can feel anxiety, you can feel all of these things. But here's a good question: are you willing to do it anyway? The thing that you need to do that you know you have to do to get the result that you're looking for in your life. So really, what I'm sharing with you here is a powerful realization that readiness has nothing to do with willingness. How ready you are and how perfect the moment feels has literally nothing to do with you being willing to take action. This is a big realization that I want you to have in this present moment, because once you realize this, it opens up a lot more possibility in your life, and you stop waiting for the perfect moment. Oftentimes we're waiting for somebody to come save us. We're waiting for the perfect moment to be happy. We're waiting for the perfect situation to happen, the perfect amount of money to be happy, or maybe it's when the relationship goes perfectly and then you can be happy. Maybe it's when, everything goes perfectly in the external world. Now you can finally be happy. And that's not what it's about. It's about finding happiness in the willingness to do the thing that you want to do, even if you're scared to do it, and even if you don't get the result. Because of course you want the result. Of course you want the thing, but you have to find the joy in doing it for its own sake. And oftentimes this is about willingness. That's where the joy comes from, is challenging your fears, challenging your anxieties, and proving them wrong. Oftentimes you can feel worthy to have something in your life when you're willing to take action regardless of not feeling worthy. Worthiness is almost a decision to do something and be worthy regardless of if you feel worthy. You can be worthy without necessarily feeling worthy. Giving yourself permission to be worthy, even if you don't feel like it, can make you worthy. You literally become worthy by just choosing it. By just choosing to be worthy and choosing to give yourself permission to take action can make you a worthy person immediately. And imagine you can be stuck in a state of stagnation and stress and fear and resistance for multiple years, and all you had to do is give yourself permission to be willing to do it, even if you don't feel like it. And I don't have to give you that permission. I can give that to you. I can say I give you permission, but you have to give yourself permission. Now, if I'm the permission slip to give you, so you can give yourself permission to take action, that's totally fine. But understand that ultimately speaking, you are the only one that can give yourself permission to actually do this. So this leads me to the second thing that I want to share with you in this video, which is to understand that for me, this is a very powerful concept. This has changed almost every single aspect of my life and how I show up, which is to understand that the ego's will is not enough. It's just not enough. You know what I mean? It's like, if you think that you're going to achieve the highest version of who you are just with your limited, tiny little ego, tiny little sense of self, and that the willpower can only come from your ego, it's false in my personal opinion. You want to align with what I'm going to call right now divine will. It's almost like, what is the will of the universe? Like, what does the universe want? When you can align your desires, your, so to speak, egotistical desires, maybe you want money, maybe you want a relationship, maybe you want a living situation to be a certain way. All of these things are fine. There's survival, things that you need to take care of, but also understand, like, what does life want from you? What does life want from you? Like, what wants to move through you? Oftentimes, if you stop thinking, if you turn off your mind, if you connect to the present moment, it's like it becomes very clear what you know you have to do moment to moment to be the best version of yourself, even if you don't feel like it in the morning, even if you feel scared, even if you feel resistance. And none of these things matter because the ego is going to bring up all of these concerns. So if you're trying to solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that's causing the problem, you're always going to be stuck inside the problem. If you just try to use more will from your ego, but you're stuck and identified with your past belief systems of who you used to be, you're not going to be able to challenge those limiting beliefs and break out of those patterns and prove them wrong. In order to, think about it like this, in order to take action against your limiting beliefs, you have to separate yourself from your limiting beliefs and not identify with them. But if you're identified with your ego, if you're identified with all your challenges and all your problems and your limitations, and you try to just use more willpower from that space of being attached, do you see how you're not going to break yourself out of your own conditioning? If you want to escape your own conditioning, so to speak, break out of the unconscious patterns of your upbringing and your conditioning and all of these things, what you want to start to do is understand that you want to see that there's a greater will than just the will of the ego. It's almost the will of God. It's the will of the universe. It's the will of life itself. Align with life itself and the will of God and the will of the universe with what you want. What you'll find is that it's much easier to have your ego have strong willpower. So your identity becomes a person that has strong willpower because you have God on your side. Oftentimes we want to do it by ourselves. We want to go me, just my ego. I want what I want, like screw everybody else, right? But when you come from this place, what happens is that you're not going to be able to truly feel happy and fulfilled because there's always going to be a little bit of guilt and shame when you only do it for yourself. When it's only about what you want, that's a problem. That's a problem because what I'm inviting you to consider here is that you can still want what you want. You can still have the desires that you care about, that you want to create, but you can align them with a greater purpose, something greater than your ego, which is going to help you to break out of your conditioning, break out of the unconscious patterns. And of course, you can help others to do the same in their own way, however that manifests for you to do that. That to me is what life is really about. It's about challenging what your ego believes is impossible. It's about challenging the old identity and breaking free from your limitations and breaking free from what you believe is just who you are because that's how it's always been. You know what I mean? It's like if you're attaching to this version of yourself that's just who I've always been, that's just how I am, that's not going to be enough to just take more action and more willpower from that space. You have to literally reprogram your mind. You have to reprogram your identity. You have to reprogram the way that you show up in your life and who you are. And the only way to do this, in my personal opinion, is again, to come from that space of divine consciousness, to come from that space of divine will, to come from that space of not living just as the ego, but as the entire universe and creating from your ego. You are the universe that is creating from your ego right now. And the question is, are you conscious of that? The more that you can become conscious of that, the more that you're going to have the divinity of the present moment flow through you. And you know who you have to be moment to moment to get the results that you're looking for when you show up like this. When you show up like this, when you come from alignment with God, alignment with the universe, alignment with your higher self, and you break free from just living from your ego, you know what you have to do. You know in the moment. It's like almost like there's this sixth sense where you know exactly what you have to do and how you have to do it. You know how you need to talk to people. You know what actions you need to take. And you become very clear on all the areas that you're lying to yourself and that you're blocking yourself and that you're resisting yourself. There's less attachment to those. And then again, when you separate yourself from those problems, You can see that, okay, well, I might feel anxiety, I might feel worry, I might feel these problems, but I can still be willing to take action because I can see that those things are not me. I am not my limitation. I am not my problems. I am not my challenges. I am not the limitation that pops up in my mind as a result of the problems and challenges. I am not those things. I am who I decide who I am. And you can build this with the final thing that I'm going to share with you in this video is with repetition. So every single time you take action, regardless of how you feel, and you continue to be set on the plan that you created for yourself, even when you feel like you don't want to, even when you feel the limitation, even when you feel like you don't feel like you should be doing it right now, you build a little bit more self-trust and a stronger willpower. The willpower gets stronger, so you become a person that takes action regardless of your fear. You get a little bit better each time. You build momentum. It becomes easier to do so. It becomes easier to sort of cancel out the negative emotion and then take action anyway. And it's not that you didn't feel a negative emotion. It's not that you didn't fully experience it. It's that you experienced it, but you choose not to stay there. Experiencing pain, experiencing limitation, experiencing problems and challenges and stress is a natural part of life, in my personal opinion. But the problem becomes when we choose to stay there, when we choose to linger there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's okay to be a victim sometimes. We're all going to have problems. We're all going to have challenges. We're all going to have issues. We're all going to have things that make us feel stressed out. That's a part of life. But the question is, are you going to make the choice to stay there and to linger there and then to keep telling yourself why you can't do it anymore because of this one thing? That's going to be your limiting belief. So repetition over and over and over, day by day, even if it's just a tiny little action that you take, builds that self-image of having a strong willpower. If you want to be a person that has a strong willpower, you need to be the person that is an action taker even when you don't feel like it, even when you feel fear or worry or anxiety or you feel like you're not ready. Remember, it's not about readiness, it's about willingness. So stop making your life about having the right moment to feel ready, because that moment is never going to come. You're always going to feel a little bit anxious. You're always going to feel a little bit scared. You're always going to maybe feel like you're not worthy. Like, you ever heard of imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is totally normal. You might feel like you're not the person that you say you are. You might feel like you're lying to yourself. But none of these things matter, because these things get removed over time the more that you take action anyway, regardless of them. That's how you heal them. You heal your blockages. You heal your limitations through consistent action and repetition, and you build willpower through action every single time you don't feel like it, and then becomes stronger. It becomes ingrained in your identity that no longer are you a person that allows limitation to define you. You can tell yourself confidently that I am no longer a person that is defined by my limitation. I am who I say I am. That's a very powerful thing to do. Because if you get to the point in your life where you realize that you decide who you are, not your conditioning, not your past, not your fears, not your limitations, not your desire for things to be perfect, not your desire for things to look exactly how you want it to look, it's like, just start to take action. I understand that you want things to look exactly how you want it to look, and you'll get there. But the path to getting there oftentimes will be valuing having a strong will versus getting the result exactly how you want it to look as fast as possible. If you can value increasing your willpower and day-to-day action over getting a result, you'll probably get the result much faster in a much easier way. But we have to start to realize that the biggest limitation to this is attachment to our ego. So I want to conclude this video by saying that it's not about having an ego and saying that having an ego is a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with having an ego. You know what I mean? It's like, in order to be a functioning human being in society, you have to have thoughts, you have to have emotions, you have to have an identity, you have to have all of these things. But the key is to not become entangled in them and believe that they are your true self. Your true self is not your ego. Your true self is not your thoughts or your emotions or even the goal that you choose. You are the divine consciousness prior to your goals, prior to form. And then from that space, I believe that's where the real willpower begins to happen, is because you have literally God on your side to support you while you're creating what you want, and it becomes easier to have your lower level desires come into existence when you align them with the higher desire and the will of the universe itself.